Welcome back, YouTubers. I don't know what's going on with my webcam. It's acting up. I hate when it does this shit, really. I love recording in HD and give you guys a good picture, but 480 it is. I can't argue with it. There's deeper things in my heart that I'm upset about today. Not really, but, you know, it still sucks. My favorite sport is mixed martial arts. I think it's by far the most physically taxing sport on the planet, mentally taxing sport on the planet. And it pushes your body and mind and soul and spirit to limits that are untouchable by football or baseball or anything like that. I see it as I see them all as world-class athletes, and you know, whatever they wanted to do, whatever a mixed martial arts fighter wanted to do, they'd be able to do, and they'd be the best at it. That being said, last Saturday night, UFC 149, the bantamweight 135-pound division held a title fight, an interim title fight in Calgary, Canada, pitting Urijah Faber against Dominic Cruz. Dominic Cruz was forced to pull out of the fight due to an ACL tear. So Barao stepped in, the number 3 guy in the world. Barao steps in and comes in as a slight favorite over Urijah Faber for the win, says the bookies. And I usually don't go for the bookies. I just, you know, go by what I've seen by past performances. But so I chose Faber all day. And Faber had nothing to offer Barao. You'd think that, you know, since he fought Jose Aldo in the WEC days, and he got his leg kicked to hell and back so bad, that he got the shit kicked out of his leg so bad he couldn't walk for weeks, and they've been known to diddle-dally around a little bit and hang out and, you know, train together, that they're probably going to throw some fucking leg kicks. Check the leg kicks. I don't know why Urijah Faber is so susceptible to them. Maybe anybody is. Maybe those two are just so good at throwing leg kicks that it's hard to check them. Just can't see them coming. I don't know. I wasn't in there. I was definitely watching, and what I saw was Faber had nothing to offer Barao. He won the fight, all 5 rounds. Kind of point fighting, you know, kept him at a distance. Urijah had nothing to offer. His push kick wasn't working. His leg was getting kicked to hell and back. He was getting hit with combos left and right. He did plant a few on Barao's face, but no damage done to either fighter really, except for Urijah's leg again. Urijah, I'm going to call it right now, the end of an era. I don't see him making another run for a UFC title. You know, let me give you some, just let me drop this little piece of advice on you about Urijah Faber if you're not familiar. Urijah Faber, rewind 4 years, was steamrolling people at 145 pounds. He got his belt. He defeated Jeff Curran in the WEC. I don't know what WEC it was. It was that long ago. And people didn't know that he could strike. He was more like a wrestler, round and pound, like a Tito Ortiz type of fighter. All of a sudden, the kid's got stand-up. He's got boxing. Then now he's got Muay Thai. Now he's got wicked Muay Thai, wicked takedowns, wicked ground and pound, and he's got submissions to go on top of it. So, I mean, now he's looking like an all-around fighter and a great champion. So in comes Jens Pulver, and there's some great build-up for coming off the heels of his BJ Penn loss in the UFC. He drops to 145 in the WEC. Jens drops to 145, and there's great pre-fight back and forth bitchy battle between he and Cub Swanson. Cub Swanson said, you know, Lil Evil's ducking me. He's not hurt. He's scared. Jens Pulver is pissed. It's one of the highest watched MMA YouTube videos that there is. And he doesn't duck from anybody, and that showed in his first round submission against Cub Swanson. I think it came within the first 40 seconds or so, and it looked like Cub Swanson's head was about to pop right off. That's how tight the choke was that Pulver applied to Cub Swanson and got him a title fight with Urijah Faber. Urijah Faber fought him not once but twice. The first time they fought, it went all 5 rounds. It was epic. Some judge, I think 2 judges had it scored 50-44 for the California kid, Urijah Faber. He definitely took care. I mean, Lil Evil got, you know, his shots in. He got a few in, but I mean, he looked like a mutant after his fight with Urijah Faber. His fight with Urijah Faber was epic. It was, I think, it was Fight of the Year 2009. And this is the WEC. It was a smaller organization, but it was my favorite organization. I liked it better than the UFC. I liked it better than, I'm not sure if Strike, yeah, I liked it a lot better than Strikeforce, and I liked it a lot better than Pride. I just liked the lower weight classes, you know? So, Uriah Faber was the face. He had it all. He had the star power, the face, the name, the it factor, blah 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 blah. And he's a wrecking fucking machine, right? So he goes through Jens Pulver not once but twice. First time was a 5-round title fight, and he just beats the shit out of him for 5 rounds. He loses his belt, Uriah, to Mike Brown not once but twice. The second fight, he breaks not one but two of his hands. His weapons were gone, and he fought like this with his elbows for 4 rounds. That's championship material. That's a champion right there. He showed pure heart, pure determination. He wanted that belt, lost a decision, dropped 2 decisions to Mike Brown. The first one was actually a knockout. Sorry. The first TKO that the California kid suffered was at the hands of Mike Brown. Mike Brown had his little tear in the WEC, and climbing back up the ladder was Urijah Faber. Took some time off for hand surgery. And by the way, on his way up, I think it was after, it was definitely after the Jeff Curran fight. He was the champion at the featherweight division in the WEC. He choked out now champion Dominic Cruz with a mounted guillotine choke with one hand. If you want to see it for yourself, you can go on YouTube, type Urijah Faber, go to his channel. You can watch the fight for free. He ends up getting a mounted guillotine with one hand posted on the mat, and Cruz tapped. So that's what happened during their first title fight. Their second title fight was, we'll get into that in a second. So he's just, he's running through people. He takes some time off. He's up for a fight with Happy Al Sunsao, who's now highly touted, insanely highly talented Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt. Good, excellent chin. He dropped him twice in that fight. In the third round, wins by rear naked choke. The California kid's back, looks to be back on track. Then they give him to Kei Mizugaki, who's I would say he's most widely known for his epic 5-round war with Miguel Torres. And that was a while ago. But I mean, those two went at it for 5 rounds. I honestly thought at one point he's going to get TKO, he's going to lose. Torres about to get TKO. It was an excellent fight. And it ended up that Miguel took home the belt back to Chicago, and stayed champion of the 135-pound division. Now, keep in mind, 145 is featherweight, and that's where Faber is. For the majority of his career, he drops to 135. Fights the same guy, Takeo Mizugaki, in the second round. He laid a rear naked choke on him so hard, it looked like he was dead, guy. I mean, if you look it up, Urijah Faber versus Takeo Mizugaki, I think it was WEC 39. I don't know, just guessing here. But he laid it on him. I mean, it was a solid. It was just a squeeze, like an anaconda type of squeeze. So it looks like the Urijah Faber of old is back. So he gets to the UFC, fights former WEC champ Eddie Wineland, ends up taking home a 30-27 unanimous decision victory against Wineland, and then gets another shot against Dominic Cruz at UFC 132. Awesome, fast-paced, high-action, high-octane fight. Uriah's throwing overhand rights, dropping Dominic. Dominic is scoring takedowns on Faber. To me, it was razor thin. I didn't know whose name they were going to call when the fight was over. Ends up they call it 4 rounds to 1, majority decision, going to the now champion Dominic Cruz, and Urijah Faber extremely disappointed. So he works his way back to the top by fighting Brian Bowles in one of the most violent fights I've seen in that division in a very long time. He was literally, at one point, Bowles was hurt so bad, Faber was literally dragging him by his face against the canvas, trying to lock in a guillotine, which he did finally get, another mounted guillotine for the finish, but not before beating living piss out of Brian Bowles in the second round. And that fight could easily have been stopped as a TKO, but he went on to finish it as a submission, which most of his victories do come. But let's just call it now. He fights Anand Barao, and Anand Barao keeps the distance, throws leg kicks. Faber had nothing to offer. He made no adjustments and hasn't gotten any better. He evolves, but he evolves too slow for the game. He evolves too slow for MMA. I don't see a title in Urijah Faber's future, so I'm going to go ahead stamp it and call it the end of an era right now. The last of the great American champions, Urijah Faber, at the 145, 135-pound division. I don't see him scratching and clawing his way back to the top and actually beating, who's ever champ at that time. I just don't see him wearing UFC Gold. So, yeah, that's going to be it. I'm going to call it the end of an era. I just don't see where the kid can go from here. I was really hoping he would pull it off against Barao. Didn't happen. That's MMA, folks. So, moving on against sad news of Urijah Faber. We'll see him fight again. I'm curious to see who they pit him up against next because, I'll probably take his side again. He's, like I said, he's one of my guys, and I stick by my guys. So, the first thing I want to talk about, since it's the next card, is UFC on Fox 4. And at first glance, to me, the shit looks unfair. All right, it's Brandon Vera, and he's taking on Mauricio Shogun Hua. Shogun versus Brandon Vera. That's the main event for the fight, for the card. So, thoughts? Did you smile? Or, what was your reaction? My reaction was, are you fucking kidding me? I thought this guy was supposed to get, I thought they gave him the heave-ho after Thiago Silva played bongos on his back. I guess they didn't, and I guess he's back in, and I guess he's, I guess he's going to fight Shogun, He's coming in as a 3.5 to 1 underdog, so, some even have him as a 4 to 1, so I don't see a problem with that. I thought it'd actually be a much wider margin. I see Shogun winning this easily clear-cut victory for Shogun if Vera does pull off a win against Shogun, especially like a knockout or submission win against Shogun. Looks like I'm going to eat my words for breakfast. I'll be eating shit for weeks if I'm sitting here and make all these videos talking about how ridiculous the main event is and Vera ends up pulling off a fucking upset. But it ain't going to happen. I think Shogun's got this one in the bag already. I think if they were to fight today, he'd win today. If they were to fight at 3 o'clock in the morning, if they were to wake Shogun up at 3 o'clock in the morning and tell him that it's time to fight, he would roll out of bed, kick Vera's ass, and go back to sleep. That's how easy I think it's going to be for Shogun to win this fight. Anyway, on the same card we have the co-main event. But first, I want to get to something interesting. Back in the day, actually, it was only 4 or 5 years ago, but back in the day, that's how young this great sport is. We had the IFL, we had Strikeforce, we had the WEC, we had the UFC, we had WEC, IFL, Strikeforce, UFC. We had, I don't know if we had Dream yet, but we definitely had Pride, So there were 5 different organizations that were televised, frequently that we could watch. So MMA was on all the time, so we got to watch all sorts of fights, all sorts of different organizations, different fighters, different weight classes, different countries. So it was a pretty cool time in MMA. And Big Ben Rothwell was the heavyweight champion, I think, for a while in the IFL. The IFL stands for International Fight League, and they had an interesting way of doing things. They would get a famous mixed martial artist, or at least a renowned mixed martial artist, make them a coach of a team of fighters. They would fight another team of fighters with highly touted, or I guess you'd call legend coach. I bet Frank Shamrock was a coach, Don Fry was a coach, things like that. And they had like certain colors and names, like the snakes and the diamonds, and it was kind of an odd organization, but I liked it, And Big Ben Rothwell definitely was the heavyweight champion. He defended his belt, and here's what blows me away is Travis Brown. I'm not here to lie, folks. He's a 3 to 1 favorite to beat Big Ben Rothwell. I don't know how. I think Ben Rothwell is coming off, correct me if I'm wrong, a knockout victory. So I don't know, unless I got that one backwards, but I checked it twice. I just don't see it. In the co-main event, let's just get past that because that kind of upsets me. I just don't understand that. Either that or I'm going to lay some money down on Ben Rothwell. Anyway, the co-main event, we have one of my guys. When he came onto the scene, I said he's unbeatable. No one's going to beat him. This guy's going straight to the top, and I was right. And it's the Ultimate Cheetah and the Ultimate Fighter winner, Ryan Bader. They're going to be featured in the co-main event, and you got Bader's right hand in his wrestling, and you got that urine drinking Lyoto Machida style karate, and some nasty Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and he picked up some wrestling along the way. So we got Jiu-Jitsu and karate versus wrestling and boxing. So it should be good. The strength advantage I'm going to give to Bader. The technique though, the technique, the Jiu-Jitsu, the ground game altogether, I'm going to give to Machida. The experience factor, I'm going to give to Machida. And the striking, I'm going to give to Machida. The wrestling. The wrestling, ground and pound, things like that, I'm going to give to Bader. I see Machida winning the fight, and so do the odds makers, 2-1 favorite for Machida. UFC 150, cranky little white my ass for me. Frankie Edgar whines and cries enough. He gets a rematch. Every time this guy thinks he loses a fight to another fighter, he gets a fucking rematch. Well, I wish that the MMA was like that. I wish every MMA fighter can say, "I totally won that fight. I thought I won. I did enough to win. I should get a rematch." If he fucking rematched Gray Maynard 3 times, he rematched BJ Penn. Was it twice? Twice he rematched Penn. And here he goes again with his damn rematch. And you know what? Look, man, you lost. Accept the fact that you lost. Just accept the fact that you lost. And fight the guy, fight your way back up the ladder, just as Faber's doing right now, just as Miguel Torres is doing right now, just as every single fighter except for your ass is doing right now. I dislike Frankie Edgar because of that reason only. Not only because he's a 2-1 he's a 2-1 underdog. So hopefully Henderson does keep the title, because I'd like to see a fight go down between Henderson and Nate Diaz. Excuse me. But I also would like to see Nate Diaz fight Frankie Edgar, because I think his stature, the way that he's built, and the way that he moves is tailor-made for Diaz to beat. So I think he has a better chance of getting the belt with fighting Frankie Edgar, but a better fight in Henderson. In his title fight. So either way, Diaz comes to perform. Nate Diaz comes to perform. So we're gonna get a good fight. Jake Shields. Now this is disappointing. Cesar Gracie. You see right over here, my blue belt comes from Warren Stout down here in Pittsburgh. We're fortunate enough to have a Gracie Jiu-Jitsu Academy, and I was awarded my blue belt last year. Almost a year and a half ago, and I've been rolling for a few years now, and it's very unfortunate for me to see Jake Shields just a slight favorite over Ed Shortfuse Herman. It wasn't a tough winner. He was actually a runner-up, and they gave him a contract anyway because the fight was so damn close to Ken McGrove, who is now a UFC reject. And Herman is not. He's doing, I don't know how he's doing. He's been on the undercards. Jake Shields, big name, just fought GSP. They set the gate record right now. They have the most seats sold, most tickets sold. And that was his title fight with George St. Pierre that he ended up losing 5-round decision to. Yushino Kami, listen to this, a 3.5-1 favorite over Husamar Palhares, who weeks ago people were calling the future of the 185-pound division. Okay, so he has one loss. All of a sudden, Yushin Thunder Okami, that got knocked out twice. First by Anderson Silva, second by Tim Boach, is coming back at UFC 150, only to be a 3-1 favorite over Husamar Palhares, leg lock specialist. Husamar Palhares, same guy that was saying, people were saying he's going to be champ someday. He's going to wear a belt. That guy, now he's doing because he lost once. That's the kind of shit I hate. It's the kind of biased bullshit that I hate in MMA and can't stand. However, my boy John Jones at UFC 151 is sitting pretty as a 7-1 favorite, and I can see why. Dan Henderson has his right hand, and John Jones has everything else. I'll take it. Anyway, let's get to what I think is going to be the most interesting fight in August, and that is Strikeforce Rousey versus Kaufman. Here's why. Rousey comes straight off, and the odds haven't changed since I checked, since the fight was announced until today. She is a 6-1 favorite to win the fight. Ronda Rousey is 6-1 favorite. Now listen, this isn't UFC 1. Your name's not Hoist Gracie. People do know what arm bars are. You cannot win all your fights by arm bars. I'm curious to know what she's picked up from the Diaz brothers. I'm curious to know what she's, not just picked up, but learned to utilize with her judo from the Diaz brothers. And I want to see some good striking out of her, because that's what you're going to see out of Sarah Kaufman. Again, bias bullshit. There's no way that Sarah Kaufman should be a 6-1 underdog. That's an insult to a title challenger. That's like, I remember it was like, what was it, like negative 1,050 to plus 750 when Jan Cuddles Finney fought Cyborg Santos. And I mean, she beat her into fucking dust for 3 rounds. Kim Winslow should be fucking fired. She should be fired. She should not be a referee. I hear Dana White bitching about not Dan Mergliotta, the other fucking guy, Steve Mazzagatti. I think she should be kicked out. Winslow should be thrown out for not stopping that fight. That girl was hurt. She wanted out of there. Didn't want to tap, but I mean, this fight could have been stopped at least a half a dozen times, and she didn't do it. Anyway, let's go back to the fight. Rousey, 6-1 favorite with Sarah Kaufman. Kaufman, you want to bet on her, it's plus 425. But here's the issue I have is Kaufman's a striker, which is Ronda Rousey's weakness, and she has great takedown defense and has good wrestling of her own. And I'm damn sure that she's been working on arm bar defensive techniques, which there are plenty of. I know a few of them myself. So there are ways to avoid being taken down. There are ways to to avoid being thrown. There are ways to avoid the armbar, even if you're stuck in the bow tie and fully locked. There are ways to escape. Look at GSP Dan Hardy title fight. Look at how many arm bars and Kimuras Dan Hardy managed to slip out of, in only just 6 months of jiu-jitsu training. So, I don't think she's going to be able to arm bar everybody. She's going to have to, like I said, nowadays in MMA, you have to have it all. You can't just be a wrestler. You can't just be Dan Henderson and have the H-bomb and come in and destroy and wreck shit, and own the entire division. It's not going to happen. You have to have wrestling, and you have to have great wrestling. You have to have Muay Thai, and you have to have excellent Muay Thai. You have to have burner Muay Thai. You got to have boxing, top-notch boxing. I think the best boxer in MMA right now is Nick Diaz. Nick Diaz has the best boxing, the pitter-patter style that no one can seem to figure out. That's the best boxing in MMA today. And Nate Diaz as well. That pitter-patter boxing style that no one can figure out. I think it confuses people. It gives you no room to breathe, and that's the best boxer in MMA right now. And it's because he works out with the likes of Andre Ward. He works out with the likes of professional boxers, and that's what makes you good. That's what makes you good. You get good by iron sharpens iron, steel sharpens steel. You get good by training with people that are good. But anyway, and you need great jiu-jitsu. You need top-level jiu-jitsu, top-level boxing, top-level Muay Thai, top-level wrestling. You need some judo in there. You need some karate in there, some taekwondo. You need as much as you can possibly get, and you need to take it, wrap it all into one, make it one asset, and make it just one thing. When they call your name and they say, he's a jiu-jitsu fighter standing 5'9", it should be, he's an MMA fighter standing 5'9". From now on, because that's what it's looking like. I think that the people that you're going to see, that we're going to see holding the belts in the future for the next, let's say, year, maybe 2 years, are the newer fighters, the new breed. Hanan Barao, Jose Aldo, John Jones. Anderson Silva's going to hold it till he retires, guys. This guy's not going to lose. So, these are the people I see holding on to belts. The reason why they're going to hold on to belts until they feel, the time's right to give it up is because they're perfect at everything. They're perfect at everything that they do. Everything that they do, there's no holes in their game. Urijah Faber evolves, but he evolves too damn slow. He's too slow for the game. Look at Anderson Silva. He's top-level Nogueira black belt. Top-level striking. Excellent wrestling defense. Excellent wrestling. Excellent submissions. Incredible strikes. Perfect timing. He's a champ. Look at Hanan Barao, what he's been able to do. You know, currently on a 19 fight, I think maybe even 20 fight win streak. I think his record's 31-1. That's just, you know, it's off the hook. He's 24 years old. John Jones, look at what he's been able to do in just 4 short years. Imagine another 4. This sport is young, guys. This sport is young people. So let's respect our elders. Remember who the champions were. Remember who. Oh, by the way, Tito Ortiz gets inducted in the UFC Hall of Fame. I do agree that Tito should be in there. He's his patented, you know, running you into the cage, picking you up, just dropping elbows until he scores a TKO victory. Classic, just doesn't work anymore. He quit at the perfect time, excellent time for him to retire. I'm glad he got inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame, but I would love to see Jens Pulver inducted into the UFC Hall of Fame. There's even a Facebook campaign. If you want to, just go to UFC induct, and it'll just pop up. Induct Jens Pulver into the UFC Hall of Fame. So just go ahead and do that. And if you want to, you can rally for it on Facebook. I have it. So. Yeah, I think you should too. You know, Jens Pulver was the king of the lighter weight divisions. We've been talking about, we just spent 20 minutes talking about lighter weight division. So, you know, why not? Why not throw, one of the founding fathers of the lightweight divisions, the first UFC lightweight champion and the first one to defend the lightweight champion, Jens Pulver, induct him in the UFC Hall of Fame. I mean, Matt Hughes is there. You know, Tito Ortiz is there. The Iceman's there. Mask is in there. You know, but it's going to be I didn't know it was going to be a half-hour video, but you guys sat through it. Thanks a lot. I appreciate it. Push that subscribe button. It's well worth it. From now on, it's going to be a lot of music tutorials. We're going to do MMA. You're going to get, from me, you're going to get, as soon as I hear it, you're going to hear it, as far as MMA updates, upcoming events, event results, betting odds, opinions, basically everything MMA is going to be here at Power Silver 101, and just from a different standpoint, So thank you for watching. 27 minutes is long enough, and I'll see you whenever I make my next video.